we're going to begin this programme with another row that is brewing in the United States, this time at the central bank, the Federal Reserve. In the past couple of hours, Governor Lisa Cook has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump's attempts to remove her. Well, what do we know? Let's talk to Jonathan Josephs, who's following the latest for us from the newsroom. And Jonathan, just talk to us about this case. What do we know that's in this lawsuit?
Ben, that's right. This lawsuit has now been filed by Lisa Cook against her removal from her position as a board member of the Federal Reserve by President Trump, something he said he was doing on Monday. Now, in this lawsuit, it strikes a fairly confident tone. Her lawyers and her seem to think that she's got a very clear-cut case. And it centres on this allegation that President Trump made where he said that that she'd been committing mortgage fraud and that was a reason to remove her. Now, that allegation hasn't been proven. She hasn't been charged with any criminal offence. So there's very thin substance in that sense to go on. And in this lawsuit, it's a 28-page document, and it calls this an attack on Federal Reserve's independence and a grab for power by President Trump. It also requests an emergency injunction to stop President Trump's wishes coming into force. And it goes on to say that because the president says he has found cause, that does not magically make it so. It challenges President Trump to make his case in court. And many observers are saying that given that the independence of the Federal Reserve, the US central bank, is at stake itself here, that this is a case that is likely to go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yes, and Jonathan, we know that there's been a war of words between President Trump and the Fed. He's asking the Fed to cut interest rates. They have been reluctant to do so, they say, based on the economic evidence. But talk to me about the importance of the independence of the central bank.
Ben, central bank independence has become an accepted norm across the world, not just for the Federal Reserve, but across Europe, across Asia. And it is about making sure that central banks make decisions that are in the interests of an economy in terms of trying to help an economy grow. Now, with the Federal Reserve, it has a mandate set by Congress. It has a twin mandate to keep inflation in check. It has a target of 2% in the long term, and it also has to maximise employment. Those are the two aims that Congress has given it. And Lisa Cook is one of the people who makes the decisions on interest rates, which are the main tool that the Federal Reserve has to fulfill that mandate. Now, critics say that President Trump is trying to remove people who aren't carrying out his wishes. As you say, he wants to get interest rates much lower than their current range of 4.25 to 4.5%. He thinks that they can be lower, and critics see this as an attempt to get the Federal Reserve full of people who are sympathetic to that. But that would mean that they wouldn't necessarily be looking at the data and making decisions that are in the long-term health of the economy, that they may in fact decide that the president's wishes are more important. That's the problem regarding Federal Reserve independence. And this is going to be a key test because it also makes the Federal Reserve's independence is seen as crucial to the US economy's stability and credibility around the world, which is why so much is at stake in this case.
Jonathan, good to talk to you. Thank you. Jonathan Josephs there in the newsroom following that. Now let's turn our attention to Nvidia, because the chip-making giant, the world's most valuable company, released results that were just shy of Wall Street expectations. Now, Nvidia is considered a bit of a bellwether for the tech sector because it's behind the computer chips that are used to develop and run AI models.